Jesuit, that's it, right? Jesuit priests that are going to Japan, and Mr. Vi explained that all yesterday. And when they went to go meet Father Valignano, and how he told them that it would be a very dangerous trip and all of that, and how even setting foot on the island, the ship trip would be more difficult. I found that very interesting because he was kind of foreshadowing, saying how dangerous it is to even be in the country as these priests, and it's kind of like no turning back once they got there. And he explained how one of the people that many Christians are terrified of there was Inoue.
Inouye.
Yeah. And
Those pronunciations.
it's really weird how Inoue was a Christian and he was baptized, and how he basically is doing the stuff to people that should be done to him too, because he apostatized too. And it's like, I don't know that word, something that you don't want done to yourself, but you do it to others. I forgot.
Hypocritical?
Yeah, he's basically like a hypocrite because he's doing stuff to his people, and and all of that. But it was really, and there was just a lot of ways how they could have got into some serious danger, like meeting that guy Kichijiro, and how they met him out of nowhere and really didn't know whether he was a Christian or not, and how they met those group of people that were Christian also. So that was kind of
Along with that, I also thought that when they were going to see if this like major like figure in like the Catholic or like Christian or whatever world there in Japan, like they heard that he apostatized or whatever that word is, and they went over, and it was like a 3-year journey. It was a 3-year journey, and like they couldn't even like figure out, like he could have been dead like within those 3 years. So like the amount of like they must have like really like cared about him, and like were really like disturbed when they found that out, to like spend like 3+ years of their life, well actually like 6+ years, like, and he could like just be dead. They could have been doing that for nothing.
I have a quote, and it kind of goes off what Anthea said earlier. It says, "I'm obliged to refuse to send any more missionaries to Japan. The sea journey is extremely dangerous for Portuguese ships." And that's like he's saying that to like showing that like they can't go because like, well, he's not letting them go because it's too dangerous on the ships, but they still want to go.
Yeah, it's weird how they want to go even though they really don't know the purpose of like how if he's dead or not, because if they go there and just find out that he's dead, there was really no point in going and spending like 3 years of their lives like traveling there. Like I can imagine like all of them getting sick and just being on a ship for 3 years of their life, and like meeting people and just putting yourself in danger.
Something I found in the book overall that I think it's important for us to understand when reading it is Christians in this part of the world, they are really oppressed, and there are severe consequences for being one. And
Peyton, stop.
Sorry, we had a distraction.
there are consequences for being a Christian. You know, they can get tortured and everything. They actually got staked on the shore of the ocean, and across like the time period of a week, the ocean would lap up on them. Eventually, they couldn't keep themselves from drowning. And a quote I have to go along with it is said. Someone was talking. When they were trying to get a ride to a ship to Japan. They were talking to that guy. They asked him, "Are you a Christian?" The question came from Gart, but the fellow suddenly shut up like a clam, and it just shows the significance that being a Christian has over there.
I just found this quote, and it kind of confused me a little bit, because it said, in that stricken land, the Christians have lost their priests, and then someone must go to give them courage and to ensure that the tiny flame of faith does not die out. And I'm wondering if that's saying if somebody's gonna come and help them, or if like saying they need someone to come.
I think that it's like
Wait, can you say the quote again?
In that stricken land, the Christians have lost their priests. Someone must go to give them courage and to ensure that the tiny flame of faith does not die out.
I think it's talking about someone coming there to be a spark in the fire, because it's saying that right now they're missing, with this guy being lost. There's nothing in Japan that is spreading Christianity. So there's a fire being lost down there, and now without this guy, Christianity is persecuted there, and it will forever be persecuted there unless someone does something about it. So I think it's talking about someone coming and bringing Christianity back to Japan.
I think it's also like all of the Christians down there like just saw like one of like their biggest like Christianity leaders like just like throw away the faith so easily, and like that probably like hit a bunch of them hard, and they were probably like questioning their faith, like, oh, if like he just like threw it away so like easily, and he's like the holiest of like all of us, like what are we or something. And so I feel like they're being very like doubtful.
Where do you think they keep their where do you think they get their motivation to like keep going after seeing like their leader like fail or whatever?
I feel like right now they don't really have, because they're kind of like just like don't know what to do, because their main person who usually knows what to do is gone. And so that's why I think it's good that the three priests are going down, and they're gonna try to help them and keep spreading it.
Yeah, they're probably just confused and don't know how to handle it right now.
Real quick, I found the quote about their punishment. It said, wooden stakes were fixed in the sea at the water's edge, and the Christians were bound to them. When the tide came in, the water would reach up to a certain mark, then recede. The Christians gradually became utterly exhausted, and after about a week, they died in the most terrible agony.
Yeah, I know later on in that quote it says, did Nero of Rome devise such a cruel method of death? And it's just like Nero's punishments of death, like in Roman times, were like so cruel, and like I couldn't imagine how cruel like the Japanese persecutions were and how much worse they could have been in comparison to Nero's.
Yeah, I found a quote that said, we priests are in some way a sad group of men, born into the world to render service to mankind. There is no one more wretchedly alone than the priest who does not measure up to his task. So, in the Bible it does say that the most important thing for a Christian to do is to, evangelize and spread the word, and that's a priest's sole purpose. And, it can be hard for them to not be able to go somewhere like Japan, and they have to go like for 3 years and stay in an unfamiliar place and pretty much be stuck there. So it can be a very hard decision for them. That's what they're going through.
And in chapter 1 it says, in Japan there has now appeared a person who is indeed a terror for the Christians. His name is Inoue. And I was wondering if that was foreshadowing something later on for them.
Could you read it one more time?
In Japan, there has now appeared a person who is indeed a terror for the Christians. His name is Inoue.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
I think
kind of
it's
like a villain
foreshadowing.
kind of guy.
Yeah, I think it's foreshadowing a lot of terrible things that he's about to do to probably all the Christians and maybe even the three priests. They're probably gonna come in contact with him a lot.
So Madison, you brought up something with what's so funny?
Nothing. Just keep going.
Peyton's making faces.
You brought up something. What's the motivation of them going on this trip? Mm-hmm. Well, the motivation is Jesus, because they're concerned about their friend. He walked away from their faith. He walked away from his faith, and they want to bring him back if they can find him back to Jesus, because they know that that is the most important thing. So I think Jesus kind of led them to go there, and they also, of course, because they missed their friend, but I think the real motivation was Jesus. So
I know. Shut up.
Can I talk? Just
No. I also think. Oh my god, I lost my train of thought now. Oh wait, just kidding. I also think that going along with that, like, how do you think they reacted? Like, I know they were probably like concerned for their like friend, but like honestly, like I think they would probably be like really pissed too, like really angry at him for like just throwing it away.
Especially because now they have to keep their faith like in secrecy. So.
Yeah.
A character that was kind of introduced into the chapter in chapter 2 was Kichijiro, and I personally think that he is just not in it because he did proclaim that he was a Christian, but I feel like he's just in it to get back to Japan and to see his family and friends again. And they explain how he's like a drunk and like in chapter 2 when like they hid in the bush or in the hole or whatever and he went off to go and explore, they didn't really know if he was going to come back or if he was just going to like leave them or whatever. And I feel like that's foreshadowing to show that he probably will leave and not like go on and spread the word or whatever.
Wait, did you say his name was Kichijiro?
Yeah.
Yeah, same with that thing. Like he got asked, well, anyhow, you're a Christian, aren't you? And then he wouldn't answer at first. Then he asked him again, and he answered that he wasn't. So like, I don't know if he's saying like he's not a Christian or he's just scared to proclaim that because then they might like persecute him or like not, like it would give him a better chance to get the ship and the sailors.
I think with him, like, the priest might think that, like, personally, I think that, like, he's gonna betray, like, the priest and, like, just, like, go and, like, not do what he told him he was going to. And, like, relating to the Bible, there's, like, similarities between, like, Judas betraying Jesus and, like, Kishi, whatever you say his name, like, how he's probably gonna betray, like, the priest.
Yeah.
Go for a couple more minutes, y'all.
I got a
Good
quote.
job so far.
I got a quote said, "Such conduct is pretty far from anything you could call Christian patience, but this weakling's cowardice is just like that." That was at a point in the book where they observed someone who claimed to be Christian, but he went against Christian values to kind of keep it a secret. He was willing to do that, and that's just, Christians there really have no confidence because they're, they have such big opposition to the faith in that part of the world.
The group that they met, was the group named Tomaji or was it?
Oh, you're talking about the village?
Yeah.
Tomoki.
Oh, well, it's just seeing like them motivated to like ask people if they're Christian, not like up front and stuff. That can be like really dangerous, and like how they like ask the people, like the Tomaji people or whatever, how like if they were Christian or not up front. Like they could have easily have been like non-Christians and could have like reported them or something. And like they've been really upfront with like the whole Christianity question, and it's cool how like people took them in and like how things could have turned like really bad, but it turned out really good.
Any last parting thoughts that anybody wants to throw out there? An extra point or so? From our panels here.
I just think it shows like so much courage and like bravery and like humility, because like they're willing to like start like having to keep their faith silent, and they're also willing to like do the opposite and like ask people like if you're Christian or not, knowing like they could easily like report you to like anyone and just be dead or done for. Like they'd like torture you to get apostatized and stuff. You would not